Jimmy to get it?
Absolutely. That's called getting your hands dirty.
He does everything. The man does everything for that team,
He does
Zach.
everything. I love it.
If you throw it under there, you got to get it.
That's true. Russ should have had to go get it. But, you know, that's just Bradley Beal for you. He's that nice a guy. He will go do that. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols, joined by 2008 Finals MVP Paul Pierce and our senior writer, host of the Low Post podcast, Zach Lowe. Gentlemen, coming up, we're going to talk about the Nets because they were on fire last night.
Yeah.
Actual physical fire despite KD's absence. Were you blown away by their performance? We will discuss that later. First, though, yesterday, Woj reported that the Cavs are going to sit Andre Drummond as they look for potential trade partners. He also reported the Pistons will sit Blake Griffin until a suitable trade partner is found for him or a buyout agreement is reached. Now, the Cavs played the Warriors yesterday, so these issues caught the attention of one Mr. Draymond Green, who went off on what he sees as a double standard between how players are viewed for making trade requests versus how teams are viewed for benching players in order to trade them. Here are Draymond's full comments, which were, by the way, nobody asked him a question about this. It was a question about something else, and he brought it in this direction. Take a listen.
I would like to talk about something that's really bothering me, and it's the treatment of players in this league. To watch Andre Drummond before the game sit on the sideline, then go to the back, and then come out in street clothes because a team is going to trade him is bull. Because when James Harden asked for a trade and essentially dogged it, I don't think there was no surprise or there's no one's going to fight back that James was dogging it his last days in Houston. But he was castrated for wanting to go to a different team, and everybody destroyed that man. And yet a team can come out and say, oh, we want to trade a guy, and then that guy is to go sit. And if he doesn't stay professional, then he's a cancer, and he's not good in someone's locker room, and he's the issue. And we've seen situations of Harrison Barnes getting pulled off the bench. You know, DeMarcus Cousins finding out that he's traded in an interview after the All-Star game. And we continue to let this happen. But I got fined for stating my opinion of what I thought should happen with another player. But teams can come out and continue to say, oh, we're trading guys, we're not playing you. And yet we're to stay professional. At some point, as players, we need to be treated with the same respect and have the same rights that the team can have. Because as a player, you're the worst person in the world when you want a different situation. But a team can say they're trading you, and that man is to stay in shape. He is to stay professional. And if not, his career is on the line. At some point, this league has to protect the players from embarrassment like that. You know, we talk all of this stuff about you can't do this, you can't say that publicly. If you say that publicly, you're fine. Anthony Davis got fined, I think, $100,000 or something like that for demanding a trade publicly. But you can say Andre Drummond's getting traded publicly, and we're looking to trade him publicly, and he's to stay professional and just deal with it. But then when Kyrie Irving say, oh, my mental health is off, everybody go crazy about that too. Do you not think that affects someone mentally? As much as we put into this game to be great, to come out here and be in shape, to produce for fans every single night, and most importantly, to help your team win, do you think that doesn't affect someone mentally? But as players, we're told to, no, you can't say that, you can't say this, but teams can. It goes along the same lines of when everyone wants to say, oh, man, that young guy can't figure it out. But no one wants to say the organization can't figure it out. At some point, the players must be respected in these situations, and it's ridiculous, and I'm sick of seeing it. Y'all have a great night. I'll see y'all tomorrow or Wednesday.
Wow, Paul, a lot to unpack there, but how do you feel about what Draymond said about the double standard?
I completely agree with him because, like he said, when a player comes out and says, hey, I don't want to be here, I want to get traded, the situation, you have a veteran. Most cases it's going to be a veteran player who's probably still in his prime, who is going in one direction with his career based on what the organization is headed. You know, usually a younger team looking to rebuild, as we see with Andre Drummond, as we see with Blake Griffin. And so to accommodate those needs, I think it's best for both parties to have that understanding. And like he said, when the organization wants to sit you and say, hey, no, we're going to wait for a trade partner, but when a player says, no, I want to be traded, it is a double standard. And so what happens to the organization for coming public and then the player coming public and he's looked at as the bad guy and not wanting to be a team player?
First of all, Draymond is so good for the NBA. We are so lucky to have Draymond in the NBA speaking about this stuff. Second of all, I mostly agree. I have written and said over and over again that trade requests and trade demands, although they violate NBA rules, they don't really bother me because they're not anything but the players evening the balance of power between teams and players. They're not some evil thing where, oh, it's out of whack, the players are out of control. No, they're just evening the balance of power because teams can trade them at the drop of a hat. Where I disagree a little bit with Draymond is two things. Number one, a lot of players are justifiably annoyed when teams don't keep them in the loop on trade talks. But the flip side is, if trade talks leak, the trade just blows up. It can't happen. It's disadvantageous to the team. And the second part is, with Andre and Blake, I'm not sure these are the ones to really take up for because I think they and their agents, at least in Blake's case, are kind of on board and are working with the team. So yeah, the optics aren't great, but to me there's definitely a distinction between this and something like the James Harden, Anthony Davis scenario. So a trade request doesn't bother me. It evens the balance of power. Teams generally get good return even when there is a trade demand on the table. That said, there is still an obligation to contract to play and play hard. And I think you can do that while also demanding a trade. So Draymond, I think, is mostly right.
Yeah, and look, there's the technical issue of who demands a trade and what's being said, but there's also those larger ideas of like loyalty, right? And some of the big picture ideas that players get tagged with, and that to me is always unfair, right? Loyalty is supposed to exist for players when we're talking about how their relationship should be with the team, but when the team trades them, people say, it's a business. You should know that. It's a business. So that bigger idea is something that I think players get so frustrated about, and that if he applied that to this particular situation, even if, as you note, that particular situation, it might not quite apply here, especially with a guy like Blake. And I want to show you guys the contract numbers of these guys, because, Zach, especially Blake's deal, now, the second year there is an option year, but we, of course, expect him to pick it up. Is this even a tradable contract for Blake Griffin and or even Andre Drummond? Are they going to be able to find a trade partner with that amount of money?
I mean, we've learned that any contract, any player is tradable. I think the Pistons are going to have a really hard time trading Blake. Andre, with 1 year left on his deal, is pretty eminently tradable. But that said, it's a big number. Like the Raptors rumors that came out yesterday, I have news for you. The Raptors can't make that trade without trading one of their core players. Probably Norm Powell or something would have to be in the trade. Norm Powell might be just straight up as good or better than Andre Drummond. They're not doing that trade. So just the sheer math makes it very difficult for both players. But Andre, that 1 year, that one extra year Blake has makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens there because, yes, every contract is tradable in theory. We saw Westbrook and John Wall go for each other, but that number for Blake Griffin at this point in his career, I think that is going to be very difficult, so we'll see what happens there. Let's move on because Woj also reports Anthony Davis will be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks after sustaining a calf strain on Sunday. AD also reportedly re-aggravated the Achilles tendinosis there. He is unlikely to return to the lineup prior to the All-Star break. So Woj saying the MRI revealed the injury but did not show a rupture of the tendon. Let's take a look here, Zach, at the Lakers' upcoming schedule. What does AD's absence mean for the team?
If he's healthy for the playoffs, nothing, because that's all that matters for the Lakers. The seeding doesn't matter. If they have LeBron and they're healthy and they have AD, they're going to be fine. This team just won a championship playing in a bubble in front of 0 fans that can win without home court. That said, these are valuable minutes for Kyle Kuzma, who's playing probably the best basketball of his career. Absolutely explosive cutter, finisher on the break. And these are important minutes for other guys who get a chance to step up, like Taylor Horton-Tucker gets a chance to prove, yeah, I'm part of the playoff rotation. Caruso will get more minutes. Everybody will get more minutes. But really, as long as AD is healthy and 100% in the playoffs, this is a blip on the radar. It doesn't mean anything. I don't even think it really matters for LeBron's MVP case. It's not going to swing on how the Lakers play in these next couple of weeks without AD. It's just a matter of his health. they get to the playoffs intact, it's fine.
Zach, you do know something about basketball, don't you? No, I completely agree. For the Lakers, it's not about seeding for them. They're not one of those teams, like they said, we're pressing for home court advantage. We need to win as many games, no load management. This is a perfect time for AD to get his injury right, for these other players to get put in the roles they're not normally put in, to gain some confidence, because these are players you're going to need down the road. So it's almost, you don't want a player to be hurt. It's almost like a blessing in disguise, because now you can give some guys some minutes moving forward that you wouldn't probably give a lot of minutes. And so as long as AD is healthy for the playoffs, I'll even say take even 2 months off. Come back the last 3 weeks of the regular season. If the Lakers are a 6 or 7 seed, nobody is betting against the Lakers.
I get that. Although, Paul, what extra pressure does this put on LeBron James? It's pretty clear he would like to win MVP this year, the amount of minutes, the amount of games he's playing. And now there is going to be extra pressure on him. And where they end up in the standings does affect the MVP balloting, doesn't it?
Well, absolutely. I mean, LeBron is having a spectacular season, and moving forward, it does put a lot more pressure on him to carry the load, more so than not having an Anthony Davis. That's a glaring hole in the middle, and now you're asking LeBron to continue what he's already doing, but probably play even more minutes and even put up even bigger numbers. I'm not sure you want that from your superstar aging player, at this point in his career moving forward. They're going to have to look at some point in this season, giving this guy some rest, because the most important thing for LeBron, he wants to probably win an MVP, but he also wants to win another championship too, and that means being rested and healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah, the Lakers should not increase LeBron's minutes. Just keep them right where they are. If you take a couple of extra losses, who cares? And the Lakers are 21-7. It's not like they're going to go 0-8 without Anthony Davis. They'll muddle along. They'll be fine. Their win-loss record is going to be just fine for LeBron's MVP case. And I think more than any candidate, maybe in NBA history, LeBron's MVP case is going to transcend these normal criteria that we use in terms of standing and plus minus. It's not going to be about any of those things for voters when it comes to LeBron.
All right, we will watch Anthony Davis and wish him a speedy recovery. Coming up, guys, Kyrie Irving did it again last night. So our producers compiled Kyrie's best crossover jumper combos. I seriously could watch this all day. You're going to see it after this break. First, though, it's time for our distant replay. This date, 1991. A little Michael Jeffrey Jordan for you.
Up 14. Jordan past Petrovic.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
The last
That's
one
incredible.
was no. I didn't see
91,
that.
too.